Weiman glass stovetop cleaner and polish. I love using this stuff to clean games. Is it actually good for games? Is it bad for games? Some of the comments I've received on this have stated things like it will remove the gold plating or it will make the contacts more susceptible to wear and corrosion. So what are the long-term effects of this cleaner on contacts? Shout out to Dad for the suggestion of this video. Thanks, Dad. Now, thankfully, years and years and years and years ago, probably 10 maybe, I don't know exactly, I used this stuff on my personal Super Nintendo collection of games. Now, these games have been sitting here on a shelf like this against the wall. So they'd be like butted up against the wall, and this is how they've been. And I've played them periodically, every once in a while. So they haven't been stored in plastic or even had dust covers on them, so they've been exposed for mostly to the elements. So how do they look after years and years of this stuff on them? So first off, as we can see here on pieces, awesome game, highly underrated. We can see that there's actually remnants of the cleaner I left on there and did not do a good enough job removing. So how do they look? I mean, they're shiny, they look pretty decent. I don't know if they look faded or corroded, but how do they play after years and years and years? We'll grab the Super Nintendo and we'll hook it up and we get to actually view it on the TV, which is not on the TV, but we actually get to view it on somewhere over here or here or here or actually here. So, and turn it on. And there we go. A really cool game, but if we just turn this on, plug it back in, turn it back on, works pretty much consistently. I say pretty much because there's every once in a while there's a little bit of a hinkiness, but that's just the way that Super Nintendo is. And it works every time, pretty much. So now that one, like I said, has been done ages ago. Also have this game of RoboCop got from the thrift store in 2010. Dang. And pretty sure I used this on this as well. You can see a little bit maybe on those. I don't know how the contacts look, if they're like have anything on them. But the most important part is, do they work? Do they work consistently? Are they damaged? And it works every once in a while. Sometimes you have to insert it a couple times, but that's always been the Super Nintendo. And this one probably hasn't been cleaned very thoroughly in a long time. That one's acting a little funky, actually. That might be more than just dirty that might be a little dirty contact, though. Also could be the reader of the console as well. All right, let's just check. There might be a little bit of surface dirt. We'll check that out real quick. Just a little bit of isopropyl alcohol. And yeah, there we go. A little bit of dirt. Plug it in first time. And we got a boot. Do we get fully into the game? Yep. There's RoboCop 3. Yep. And I'm just going to chalk that up to a little bit of light dirt on there. A little dust. And yeah, it works fine. Pretty good. So that was working. Now, one I wanted to show off real quick before we get to the games that I'm pretty sure I haven't done anything with. This one, Demolition Man. It looks absolutely terrible. I got this at a yard sale quite a few years back, and it was sun damaged. And if you look at the contacts here, it looks really cloudy up here. I don't know what that's from exactly. It might have been from the cleaner. I don't know. I don't know if I think I did this one because you can see a little bit of fluff up there. Again, I did not do a good job of like cleaning just the whole cartridges. So this stuff's been sitting on there for a long time. After years of that stuff on there, does it work? And it works perfectly fine. Now that we've established, even after years of using this stovetop cleaner, the games still work and there's nothing catastrophically wrong with it. So now let's go ahead and take a look at this a little bit closer. So this Weiman glass cooktop cleaner and polish is supposed to work on glass, and it's supposed to not scratch glass. The only thing in this is there is some plastic abrasive and there is some mineral abrasive. It doesn't say quite what the mineral abrasive is, but let's go and look at this real quick. And I just want to show this off because I don't think I've really shown this off really good. So this is a cream with some like fruity pebbles mixed in. We can actually maybe take a look at this under the microscope later. It's not too rough feeling, but it is something. So I had the idea of taking a game that I've never used this stuff on and kind of masking it off. This game is one of the games I've had sitting in the repair lot that I got from eBay, that big huge repair lot. So one thing about this game is it is actually a Japanese variant, but I'm pretty sure that these are not region locked. But I've not been in this one, I've not cleaned it yet. And if we turn it on, it's missing that Nintendo logo, so it's having some issues. So what I thought about doing is taking this apart, and it's an interesting design. And then we have our contacts here. And we can mask some of them off and try some of this stuff, try some Deoxit and maybe just some isopropyl alcohol and see what the difference is. It's interesting they're using a blob on chip here. This is from 96, really. I wonder if this is legitimate. This is weird. I'm assuming it is. I'll have to look at different boards like this. I've not seen this configuration before. It's a fake. Wouldn't expect Nintendo to use a blob, but I guess maybe they did. All right, well, so obviously if we look at these are pretty cloudy right off the bat. So we'll mark some of them off. We'll keep some of them as a control to see how they look afterwards. We'll look at this under the microscope. We'll look at this under the microscope, and then we'll see how it reacts under the microscope. The microscope has a 300 times magnification, so it's not going to be microscopic, but it will give us a clue of how things are looking. So let's go ahead and switch out there and try this. Let's take a look at this cream, this stovetop cleaner polish under the microscope. Let's grab these tweezers and just check this out. And there's little itty bitty particles of like, fruity pebbles over here. So definitely probably some plastic. I don't know what else it would be in here, like maybe a little bit of mineral, but I'm not 100% sure. Other than that, it's just pretty much cream. I tried to zoom in as far as I could, and this is about where I could get with the microscope. Yeah, not too much in here, just a little itty bitty flecks. Alright, so we're going to start off with the glass stovetop cleaner and polish on these pins. And I got really close in there as far as I could with the microscope. Alright, let's start adding this stuff. At first I thought there was something going on with these, but I'm not 100% sure. It's almost getting a little duller, but you can tell there's something going on where it could be removing the gold, but I'm not 100% sure yet. We're going to have to actually look at these a little bit further because it's actually interesting what happens. Well, you can see some darker spots, so at first I'm thinking that this is definitely removing some of the gold. And we'll go ahead and hit this up even more. But this does look bad at first for the glass stovetop cleaner. Then we're going to use some isopropyl alcohol. Make sure all these are clean and free from the stovetop cleaner. Now, admittedly, it looks bad right now, but there's more to this if we continue. So let's go ahead and move on to, this is going to be IPA, just isopropyl alcohol, nothing else. What's interestingly is that with just isopropyl alcohol, we are having those spots. We're having those dull spots. If we keep going at it, and then we can compare. So we definitely tell a difference on these pins that we use the glass stovetop cleaner on, right? At first glance, it looks like it's been like eaten away at the gold, but this is with the isopropyl alcohol. And this is 91% isopropyl alcohol. And we work on this a little bit more, and we can still see some dulling here. So I think it's very interesting. Now it's not as dramatic looking as the glass stovetop cleaner. So let's go ahead and switch over to the Deoxit side. We just add a blob of Deoxit, let it work in there. We just look at this reaction, see if there's anything obvious happening. It's interesting. It's almost getting darker on that side too, on that middle pin contact. It's definitely getting darker, which is very intriguing. Now, before we do continue, I did not realize that this game was indeed fake. So I don't know if this skewed us at all, but I still think there is some valuable information we can get from this. I gave the Deoxit a good couple minutes, 3-4 minutes, just to make sure that it had enough time to do its thing. Now we can brush away the Deoxit with a Q-tip. Just come on in here and clean it off. Now that looks better, right? I mean, it looks, should we say, more intact and maybe more, quote, gold. But there is definitely something else with this spot. But we're going to take a look at that at the bench. But we still have a couple more tests to run. Looking at the IPA again, still has that discoloration. Of course, this is with the glass stovetop cleaner and polish. Definitely a dramatic difference between the three. The IPA though is closer to the glass stovetop cleaner. We're going to use some isopropyl alcohol on these Deoxit pins too to see how that works. This is what I would do if I was using Deoxit by itself anyways. And really give it a good brush. Now it's not having exactly the same reaction as just pure isopropyl alcohol. But just to show the difference again, we still got this over here. We still got these pins, haven't been touched. So we're going to move to this middle area here, and instead of using anything, we're just going to use a white eraser. Just a typical white polymer eraser. And that didn't really do much. Not really. Then on this portion, we're going to use the magic eraser or a melamine eraser, kind of like a melamine cleaning pad. These are, I've heard of the last resort when you're trying to clean these, but just put a little isopropyl alcohol on the pad and just scrub the contacts. And yeah, not a huge difference, so it's interesting. Very interested to see how all this is going to play out, because I think we have some more testing to do still. And so let's go back to the bench and continue on. Well, that is interesting. So I did Deoxit here, eraser here, isopropyl alcohol here, and I did like a magic eraser here. You know, it's weird if we look at the isopropyl alcohol, it almost looks like it did something right here too, doesn't it? Interesting. Because I thought when I was looking at the microscope that there was definitely something going on with the isopropyl alcohol. It was acting like the glass stovetop cleaner. But if we look at this, I mean, it's kind of hard to tell. I mean, if we're looking at it like this, right? I mean, at certain angles, it looks a little bit silver. And you can definitely tell where we use the glass stovetop. It's almost like you can tell where we use the IPA too. So that's a little weird. You can't really tell anything with the Deoxit. Let's get the multimeter out and check stuff real quick. Because right now we're trying to determine, is it removing the gold contacts? Because we don't want that, because that will... And I've heard that that's a concern before, so maybe people are right. Maybe it is bad for the contacts, but let's go ahead and do a little bit more testing before we definitively say. Okay, so, continuity. Interesting. So where we did the Deoxit, it's got kind of bad continuity there. Let's try where we did the eraser at. Interesting. So where we put the Deoxit, it's actually so far the worst. Huh? Let's try that where we put the IPA at, the isopropyl alcohol. Interesting. So where we did the isopropyl alcohol, that also has iffy continuity. What about where we use the magic eraser? Interesting. Now let's check where we use the glass stovetop cleaner. Interesting. Well, let's check out where we didn't do any of it. You hear that? All that it's having bad continuity. Interesting. So where we use the Deoxit, it's not restoring that connectivity very good. So let's try something. We're going to try something a little different now. Now that we've got our tests, I'm going to go ahead and grab some Deoxit, and I'm going to grab some glass stovetop cleaner. And we're going to do 1/2 of this glass stovetop cleaner, and we're going to do the other half Deoxit and see where we're at with it. Okay, so on the left side, we're going to use Deoxit. On the right side, we're going to use some glass stovetop cleaner and polish. And we'll just compare the left to the right and to the middle. So let's go ahead and do the Deoxit first. Okay. We're going to leave this on there for, about 5 minutes and see how that does. Maybe it just needs more time. All right, it's been over 10 minutes. Let's go ahead and see if this will clean up now. All right, how does that look? Let's see how the continuity looks right now. It's better, but still not great. All right, now let's try the glass stovetop cleaner and polish on the right side and see how that looks. If it looks like silver. All right. All right, now let's look. You can definitely tell very, very reflective. Did we lose any of the copper or the gold though? I don't know, it's hard to say. Depends on where we're at in the light. That is very, very reflective. Let's see how that looks under the multimeter. And then we got absolutely zero issues, really. All right, so let's look at this again. We're going to remove the black marker now. And with that, we're just going to use a little bit of isopropyl alcohol. And we're going to go ahead and clean the entire pins with isopropyl alcohol. And then we'll test and see if that did anything at all for the Deoxit side too. All right, now how does this look? Let's go ahead and get continuity readings and see if the isopropyl alcohol did anything. It really didn't do anything. Let's go ahead and test this out and just see if it works, if it runs. If it doesn't run, we're going to use the glass stovetop cleaner on the whole thing and then see if it runs. Nope, garbled Nintendo logo. Let's reset it. Still garbled. Now let's go ahead and hit that other side and or actually, let's go ahead and hit the middle side, the center here, with some glass stovetop cleaner and polish, and see if maybe it's the middle. Maybe that's the problem. Let's go ahead and try this again. See if it was that center that was the problem, that just wasn't cleaned by anything. Okay. Okay, so it was the center pins. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, well, it's working, so I don't know. It's difficult to say now. Interesting. Well, now I'm not sure. Wonder if it's because we used a little more isopropyl alcohol. Let's check those contacts again. Interesting. Definitely is a lot better connectivity on the right side than their left side. But so far, that's not affecting anything on the game. Is it possible it was because the middle wasn't clean, though? That's the question. So I think we need one more game to maybe do a little bit more testing. So let's see. All right, I'm just going to grab that Game Boy Advance game from the thing. This feels incredibly cheap, though. I don't know. Let's see. I don't know if this is fake or not. It has an embossed logo, but that embossed number there, right there, 41. But if the game case looks fake, so could be wrong. Okay, it is legitimate. And this one looks like a really good one to try. So we're going to do one side Deoxit and one side of the cleaner. So let's go and do the cleaner first. Oh, wait a minute. We got to test it first. Nope, no pack inserted. Let's try it again. Yeah, no game pack inserted. So let's try Deoxit on the left and try Glass Stovetop Cleaner on the right and see if one's better or one doesn't work. All right, we'll go to about there. All right, and that's one side done. And we'll see about the other side. That's really difference, big difference. All right, let's try the Deoxit now. Give it a minute. All right, it's been about a minute. Let's go ahead and check it out and see how this looks now. Okay, let's check that out. It's actually a lot harder to tell which one's been done. You tell a little silver on here too, but that was the Deoxit side. Interesting. I barely can tell a difference though. All right, how does continuity compare on this? Let's check that out real quick. Not great. And perfect. About. All right. Let's see. Does this game work just as it is? And let's try that. And they're both doing the exact same thing, but I feel like the Glass Stovetop Cleaner does a little bit better at cleaning those off. But is it too abrasive? That's the question. Will it work? And it will work. Okay. Okay, that's fun. All right, cool. All right, so that was definitely an interesting test. They both performed really good. And the thing that gets me is, you know, you can't really tell which side we did. I don't know. Is it possible that the Game Boy Advance games are sturdier? I don't know. Let's go ahead and do one more thing before we can move on. Let's check this out. And we're going to do the same thing on this side. We're going to do Deoxit on one side and see how that looks. And then we're going to flip it and do it the other way. So let's go ahead and add a little bit of Deoxit here. There, and then we'll go ahead and clean the rest of that up a little bit. We're not even going to give it its full thing. We're just going to hit it up right now. Okay, they got a little bit of gray up. And can't really tell the difference. It looks better though, it doesn't look as cloudy. And let's hit the other side with some Glass Stovetop Cleaner. You actually tell a little bit of dirty on that. See that brighter pins? Let's try that. All right, so let's go ahead and hit it with some Glass Stovetop Cleaner and polish. All right. Can we tell a difference? I can't. Maybe. It's hard to tell. Let's go ahead and let's see this again and see how this looks with this multimeter. Is it still doing the same thing? A little bit. That's a super clean signal. So let's try this the other way. This time we'll do some Glass Stovetop Cleaner on the other side. Okay. You can tell a difference. It's definitely cleaner on the left side. Let's try Deoxit now. Okay, let's look at that. Weird. Now you can see yellow, but there's a deep shine to the left side. Let's check continuity on that side too. It's perfect on the side we're using the Weiman Stovetop cleaner and polish. It's not perfect on the other side. Now, I mean, some people might see that and say, there's gold over there, you're going to remove it. But you know what? Actually, now that we're thinking about it, if we think about this, this one was done with Weiman glass Stovetop cleaner and polish before. So this is not gold that is regrown. This is, you know, this is just dull contacts. And let's go ahead and let's do some Weiman glass Stovetop cleaner over the whole thing now, because we know this game works. This game's going to work either way. But I want to see how much dust, gray, whatever we're picking up once we go through this whole thing again, both sides. And look at that, we're already getting a lot of gray up. I think that looks fine to me when we compare it to this other side. Look at that. Okay, and that, I mean, that looks beautiful. I mean, it doesn't look like it's taking any of the gold up or gold contacts up. So let's go ahead and clean this with a little bit of isopropyl alcohol. Maybe we'll test it, I guess. And there we go. Those look absolutely good. Look at the reflection of my hand in that. Now, you don't need them to be polished. I get that though, you know? Like, this isn't glass, but like, there is nothing gonna stop this thing from getting continuity now. So I think, and then, you know, it's fine if you guys have a different opinion, but it is not causing less continuity from the contacts. So we're not, because that's the thing, the gold plated contacts here, they're like probably a millimeter, milli-inch, millimagilla of gold, you know, just a hair amount, you know, whisper of gold on these things. So if the concern is we're removing gold and that it's not going to be more, it's going to lose continuity, we kind of put ourselves a little bit more at ease with that, because even with the Deoxit, I mean, we're still getting lower continuity. The game worked, sure. So you could make that argument that, well, this is overkill. It's possible, but we're getting a really, really good shine. Now, the only thing left, I think, is that the other concern is it's going to be more corrosive or easier to corrode. Now, this game is a perfect example of leaving it on there for like 5 years. I mean, not leaving it on there per se, but doing it, cleaning it, and then coming back. Now, of course, we do have the difference of this game. Like, maybe the contacts are a little bit different on this Game Boy game, but it's not that big of a deal. It's not really that big of a difference. Did we remove any of the gold? I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't think we did anything on this, because this looks perfectly fine. Of course, this has been done before, but I have one more thing that I can check out. I got this about a year or so ago, and this is a burn-in test cartridge for the Super Nintendo. Now, the thing about it is this stuff, this is Chinese. It's Chinese repop, remanufactured thing, and the original ones are a bit expensive, a bit pricey, so let's go and open this up. We can go and open it up and check the pins out and see what happens, because this thing is pretty much the newest thing that I have, at least, for the Super Nintendo. Probably one of the newer things that has ever been made for it as well. As in brand new, not used type. Not sure what the quality of this is on the inside, or if the contacts are gold plated, but we'll check it out. And interesting purple board. That's what they look like. A little bit of dirt and debris on there. And that's the back side. A little bit of like, maybe a little bit dirt or debris. Let's just go ahead and see what happens. All right, let's see what happens when we use the glass stovetop cleaner on these new pins. Okay, is there any real difference? very difficult to even make any determinations. Does it look any different on this? Not really. Yeah, I can't even, I don't know if I can really see any difference. It would be a very, 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 very slight difference, if anything at all. Yeah, I think it's negligible. I mean, unless this thing's, it's hard to tell because half the time it's like shadows are just playing with your mind. I don't know. I really don't see really any difference. Well, we'll look at it under the microscope, the big microscope real quick. And I think that'll pretty much do it. Okay, let's take a look at these pins. Let's start with the Pieces Super Nintendo game. And we can see some silver, but that is from wear on the contacts from the cartridge reader, looks like. So I don't think there's any damage to the contacts. We'll give you an even closer picture in a moment. Here's an up close and personal picture, a video of them. All right, let's take a look at the Disney Princess game here. And I think this looks fine too. We can tell some copper or some nickel plated. I think it's nickel. I'm not sure, but the silver plating coming through. But again, I think that's just wear from the cartridge reader. I don't think that was from the glass stovetop cleaner polish itself. So I'd say it does have more wear though. And we're showing off that one Mario game, so Dr. Mario. It's really difficult to get a good impression of what color is what, even at certain angles. It just really depends on where we're at, what angle we're at. The left side does look more vibrant yellow, but it isn't as good connectivity. So let's go back to the bench. So let's go ahead and take a look at our games first. So we've got the Super Nintendo game. This one does not look like it's been touched at all. In fact, if we look at this, we looked on the microscope, you can actually tell where the contacts of the cartridge reader were being inserted and taken out over time, and it was wearing down the contacts where the gold was anyways. So we'll set that one aside. Now this one, really, not really. I mean, if you tilt it certain ways, maybe you could see a little bit of silver, but it just depends on how you tilt it. Because if you tilt it certain ways, it looks completely 100% fine. So I was wondering or concerned that, all right, well, maybe we are still removing that gold. And I also did this Game Boy Advance game and this bootleg game, which I did find out is a bootleg. But maybe you could still tell something, maybe. It just really depends on lighting. And one thing that I've been told recently by my family is, you're overthinking things. Stop thinking, which is sage advice. And I tend to do that. So again, we have this Game Boy Advance game, and I even scratched a little bit here. But I think the most interesting one I did was I took this game. This is Tarzan for the Game Boy Color, and I was still concerned that we were losing gold because obviously if this left side, it really hasn't been touched, except I tried to use a flathead screwdriver to peel this up to see if I could see how this is working and how this looks. I was thinking maybe we've got some silver coming up. Maybe we've got missing some gold. So what I decided to do, because here, depends on the angle, I decided to take a grinding pin and I decided to scratch this area, and you can definitely tell where we have silver poking through, which let's explain that. So if I've done my research correctly, the way that these games work is you have your contact, which looks gold, right? So we got gold, right? So we got our gold plated contact. So underneath the gold is actually nickel. And then after the nickel, we have copper. So basically it's a layer of copper, then nickel, then gold. And the nickel is what is called a substrate. So what they did with these games is they placed the copper down, put a nickel plating on it, then gold plated it. The nickel plating is supposed to give the gold rigidity and make sure it is sticks on there and all that stuff. And I'm sure there's more in-depth, complicated reasons why they did that. But here's the thing. So if we point this like here, we can kind of see something weird going on. Maybe it's silver, maybe it isn't, right? So I'm still really overthinking things and thinking, oh wow, I'm destroying the gold here. So what I did was I took the grinding pin and I just grinded away at this, and we can actually tell there is a difference between the areas. I mean, we have to get the lighting kind of perfect, but you can definitely tell that there is a difference between this point and this point down here. Even if we say, okay, well, it looks a little silver tinted if we, point it one way or the other. But because we scratched down past that, we revealed the nickel plating. So right here on the place that we just used the contact cleaner or the glass stovetop cleaner, it's just polishing that up. I do not believe it is fully removing anything, because right now we have gold, nickel, and then copper. And if we actually look here, I use the grinding pen to go all the way down, and we can definitely tell the difference between copper, nickel plating, and another layer, which has to be the gold. So is it damaging it? I don't think so. Again, if you point at your camera or you're lighting at certain angles, maybe you could see something different, especially on perhaps this one we did like 5 times. It really just depends, and this is where I get overthinking and start to really go down the weeds and stuff. But I think we're okay. Now, this one is an extreme case. I don't think we would be doing this like 5 times or 6, 7 times on a game. Once is enough. Twice, you're really overkilling it, and 3 times, it's just beyond what you need. I even took a little thing and scratched this too. Like, again, we could maybe see some sort of silverish stuff, but if we scratched it, we're seeing some gold, because we're not getting all the way down to copper. So whatever reaction we're having, I don't think it's really removing the gold. I could be wrong, but I don't think it is. I think we're just cleaning it and polishing it, because if we have it in the right angle, it's fine. It's also possible, like not on this one per se, but some of these older ones like this game could be like removing some oxidation, and maybe that's removing some spots that makes it less shiny and duller. Yeah, now again, if we were just to use the Deoxit, it was not removing the oxidation. We were still having intermittent beeps on the continuity testing, so we were not having a clean connection, which that is one of the reasons why there is gold. It helps the continuity and electrical connection for the contact reader, and it also prevents, or hopes to prevent, corrosion. Now, longevity. Again, the Super Nintendo games just been sitting on a shelf like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago. I used this stuff and been sitting on a shelf, no problems, no oxidation, nothing happening to it that would make it unplayable, and it's still playable today. And yeah, as far as longevity is concerned, I really don't have any concerns because of this, and it's not going to mess up the contacts or the traces, because we left it here on accident, and it is still completely fine. So if there is anything at all, I think it would be mildly cosmetic, maybe. Again, if I have to stop thinking again, but it's really one of those things where it's like, well, if we see it in this light, it looks completely fine, but if we turn it like 1.85 degrees this way, then maybe we still just a little bit of silver, and that is where I have to say, all right, when you stop thinking, just take a break and take it easy. And now, am I comfortable of using this in the future? I think I am. I really am curious to see what you guys think, because there are some people I'm sure that are going to disagree with this and say that it is horrible for your game contacts, which I completely understand. But as for me, I think it's helped some. I think it's not bad. I think it's pretty good. But again, I'm really curious to see how you guys what you guys think about this. And I guess that's it, considering we just spent like 7 or 8 days trying to figure this out, going back and forth, and losing confidence, gaining confidence, overthinking, underthinking, thinking, and all sorts of things. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this, and as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and God bless.